Thanks for joining. We're going to go in just alphabetical order. So I will toss it to our first candidate, which is Andrew Romanoff, who's running for Senate in Colorado. So I will unmute you now. I can find you. There you go. The floor is yours.
Thanks very much. My staff is asking for this mute button because they'd like to do that to me on occasion. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thanks for addressing what, to my mind, is a core issue. We're never going to get the climate action we need, the healthcare reform we need, or any of the other big changes we need in American politics unless we change the way that we finance campaigns. I, like the other candidates on this call, am leading by example. We don't take money from corporate interest groups. I should acknowledge they're not offering. If you're a big oil company or an insurance company or a drug company, you've got other preferences in this race. And that's part of the problem. While we sell Senate seats and other public offices to the highest bidder, we dramatically narrow the pool of candidates who run, distort the pool who win, and warp the decisions they make as a result. I served in the Colorado legislature. As you know, I led the Democrats here to our first majority in 30 years, became Speaker of the House, but never lost sight with the people I represented. And what's happening in Washington too often is that the folks we send, even in both parties, no longer represent the folks who are sending them to those offices in the first place. It's one of the reasons that we haven't gotten action like the Green New Deal or Medicare for All, because those proposals never find their way onto the negotiating table. They're taken off in part by the corporate interest groups that are bankrolling these campaigns. You can see it just in the case of Colorado's Senate race, because the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee made it pretty clear they did not want a primary in this race. They've done everything possible to sabotage our campaign. And they certainly didn't want somebody who was going to fight the status quo. So the question we've got here in Colorado, and I suspect the same is true across the country, is whether you believe that baby steps will solve some of these challenges. I don't. I've seen too many folks struggle and suffer and die on account of problems we can fix. And to my mind, we've run out the clock on incremental reform, especially when it comes to the climate emergency and the healthcare crisis. I hope those are two of the priorities we'll be able to address in this call today.
Awesome. Okay. I will toss it to the next person, who I believe is Brianna. So let me unmute you. There's a long list of people now. I have to find you. There you go. You should be on.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Brianna Wu. I am running for the House of Representatives here in Massachusetts, District 8. And Andrew, I just want to mirror everything you just said. I think what we are seeing in politics right now, beyond anything else, is the limits of incrementalism. And I think it's very clear we are not going to get anywhere substantive with these kinds of half measures that don't address the fundamental problems in our country. Problems like climate change, problems like healthcare costs spiraling completely out of control, problems like a campaign finance system that is fundamentally breaking our system. I'm a software engineer, and the conclusion I came to is that the people that broke the system and the people that are profiting from this broken system are fundamentally not going to be able to repair the system. We need new leadership. And what I've been so excited with everyone on this call is I think it's so critical that progressives, we stand together and we fight together, because if we do that, we win together. So I want to tell you just a little bit about my background. I have never taken the easy path in my entire life. I grew up queer in Mississippi, which is growing up queer on hard mode. I founded my own game studio, and most people know me from Gamergate. And I think what's really important from politicians is not judging what they say they believe, judging what they do. During Gamergate, I could have kept my mouth shut. I could have done nothing and just watched out for my studio's profit and my bottom line. But I could not have done that. And instead, I went to war against the very people I needed to help me find career success. I took the death threats, the sexual assault threats, every bit of that to the media. And I was unapologetic in fighting for an industry where women would be treated fairly. Now, after Donald Trump won, I looked at the situation. I said, it's not enough to just fight for women in tech anymore. we're all worried about climate change. What does it matter if women in tech have jobs 100 years from now if we don't have a habitable planet? So we need leaders with integrity. They're not going to back down. They're going to stand up unapologetically to our values. And most importantly, leaders that will say no to the corruptive influence of corporate money, the way the people before us have not. That's the kind of leadership I'm excited to bring to Washington, and I hope I can have your support.
Awesome, love it. Okay, I'll toss it to Cenk next.
Okay, before I talk about my campaign, I actually want to make sure that everybody has the website for all the candidates on here, because I'm going to talk about their courage next. So, but Brianna, can you give us your website so everybody knows it? You got to unmute, Brianna.
Yes, of course. It's Brianna Wu for Congress. And if you want to donate to my campaign, you can do that by going to supportbrianna.com.
All right, excellent. And Andrew?
Thanks. We're at andrewromanoff.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Romanoff2020.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. First of all, let me just say the unique nature of this virtual town hall we're doing. As progressives, we have to constantly innovate. So as AOC famously said, they've got money, we've got people. And so we're trying new things to bring you guys as many places as we can, grateful. Understand the solidarity that we've got here. And I love this. So this is our first effort at doing it. We did it fairly quickly, but to see my fellow progressive candidates on with us, telling us their stories is great. It's great to see you guys on. I hope we do this more and more, because I think Catherine's going to have us take questions at some point too, which would be terrific. And I love connecting with you guys. Now, on to Citizens United. So Citizens United was one of the worst Supreme Court decisions of our, not just our lifetimes, but ever in American history. Now, the good news is that most folks will acknowledge that. Most people in the media will acknowledge it. Most people in the Democratic Party will. Obviously, the Republican Party will not acknowledge it. The more good news, though, is that the Republican voters also acknowledge it. Overwhelming majority of Republican voters are against Citizens United. But when you make it more clear and you talk about corruption and you talk about the bribery that the politicians take, or talking about the money overall and the crony capitalism that it leads to, we then, funny enough, get an overwhelming number of the Republican voters on our side, at least on that issue. And so there's also a mythology that so-called moderate Democrats do better in elections. But I have not seen that in my campaign at all. I'd be surprised if anybody saw it in their campaign, because it doesn't make any logical sense. What separates moderate Democrats from progressive Democrats? Well, what we're talking about today. The number one distinguishing factor is that we don't take corporate PAC money. We don't take lobbyist money, bundler money, et cetera. And those corporate Democrats do, and they serve those interests. And so when I talk to independent voters, I've never heard a single one say, you know, I would vote for the Democratic Party if just they took more corporate money. You know, golly gee, you know, if you guys were more pro-business, even the softest language you can give it, right? The most favorable to the corporate Democrats. I've never, in talking to thousands of voters, and of course in my earlier life talking to millions of people online, I've never heard one constituent actually say, gee, I wish the Democratic Party would be friendlier to big business. It's not a thing that exists. It's not a thing that drives any voter at all. And remember, guys, we're not going to win over the MAGA guys, nor should we even bother to try to win over the MAGA guys in terms of our elections. We must win over independents if we want to win general elections. So I'll use Andrew's case. So they say, oh my God, Frackenlooper is more likely to win over voters in the general election because he's moderate. Well, I mean, the press helps him by painting him as moderate, but I don't think that being pro-fracking, being, less good, to say the least, I'm trying to find the softest words, on the climate crisis is something that the voters are in favor of at all. The only thing that the media is doing is calling him moderate and calling him, in that sense, giving him an unfair advantage. But in reality, especially the voters in Colorado, want you to tackle the climate crisis. They don't want you to take those contributions. And so Andrew is far more likely to win over independent voters in the general election. And again, in my experience, and this has been, as a lot of you know, my career has been in media. I did the Young Turks, and on the Young Turks, I've helped dozens and dozens of progressive candidates, which I'm really proud about. I think the whole company has, and the whole outlet has. But now, having gained this really fascinating experience as a candidate myself, I see that it's actually in some ways better than I expected when you talk to the voters. So when I go knock on doors, every time I tell an independent, we're going to get money out of politics, I'm not beholden to either one of the parties. I'm not beholden to the leadership of the Republican Party, obviously, but I'm also not beholden to the leadership of the Democratic Party. They say, sign me up. Literally 100% of the time with independents. So we've got to tackle that mythology. But again, at the core of all of that is getting money out of politics. So that's why I started Wolfpack, which, by the way, on a day like today, on the 10th anniversary of Citizens United, please support Wolfpack. I say that as a citizen now. It's all the difference. That's to get an amendment to fix this overall. When I co-founded Justice Democrats, the idea was we only have one litmus test, which is no corporate PAC money. When we first started, there was only 6 people in Congress that didn't take corporate PAC money. Now there are 60 people in Congress that don't take corporate PAC money. And even some of the most established Democrats are not taking corporate PAC money. Now they're taking it through bundlers and lobbyists and other forms, but at least they're not taking corporate PAC money because they realize the power of that message. But every candidate on this call means it, abides by it, lives by it, and is driven by it. That we serve you and only you. So I'll just give you 2 examples from my race, and then I'll let others talk, and we'll obviously all have a chance to participate more as we go along. So my opponent, my Democratic opponent in the primary, takes money from United Health Group. It is the largest health insurance company in the world. And by the way, they've been sued in the state of California by the federal government because they would not give money to mental health and addiction issues. Why? They wanted to save money. They wanted to maximize profit. Now that's abhorrent, but that is how the system is built. She has come out against Medicare for All. Now, maybe it's a coincidence, but Bill Moyers has a great line about this. If a batter in baseball goes up to an umpire right before he steps up to the plate and gives him $10,000, would anyone trust the umpire to be fair and unbiased? Of course not. No one would accept that he would get to call balls and strikes fairly. Because at the very minimum, you have the appearance of a conflict of interest. Yet, we have donors stepping up to politicians all across the country, Republicans and Democrats, and handing them oftentimes wads of cash that are far greater than $10,000 right before they vote. And then we're supposed to assume biased. Well, as you all know, that's obviously not remotely the case, and that's why we're on this call. That's my Democratic opponent. In California, we have jungle primaries. My Republican opponent, we had the worst gas leak in American history in the 25th district, Aliso Canyon, and he jumped to the defense, not of his own voters. He was the congressman at the time from the district, but of defense of the company. And you're going to be shocked to find out, yes, he took $16,000 from Sempra, the parent company that caused the leak. That is the exact problem with corruption, and it should be called corruption, and you shouldn't back away from calling it corruption. And yes, when they give that money, they're not giving it for charity. It is legalized bribery.
All right. So I think, unless I'm missing anyone, the next candidate on the call is Joshua. Let me find you and unmute you. Oh, you're unmuted. Great.
Yeah. Well, hi, I'm Joshua Collins. I just want to say thank you for having me, Cenk. It's an honor to be here. I'm in the car, so we're on our way to an event, so that's why I'm in a moving car right now.
Romanoff.
I guess the way this is Citizens United has affected me is, in my race is pretty significant. My opponent originally was someone who was very well funded by corporations, and he had said he would never support Medicare for all. It wasn't something that he was open to. He literally said never, and he took money, from the health insurance industry directly, and through the corporate PACs, and that was his plan, just to never support it. And how can we convince someone to go against their donors? We can't, frankly. Now he ended up dropping out and announcing his retirement. I now have 3 corporate funded opponents on the Democratic side of this, and one of them, she's got a lot of ties to the to Amazon up in Seattle, and Amazon, as you might know, spent millions of dollars against city council candidates in Seattle in this last cycle, and we can expect the same to happen in our race. They're likely to just pour unlimited amount of money, whatever it takes, to try to defeat me, and so that's what's going on in my race. 3 corporate funded candidates. I think we're living in the most important time in all of human history. Climate change is no joke. We're facing the apocalypse. Like, this is our last chance to save the human race, and we have to deal with a bunch of people in Congress who take legalized bribes, and no one's willing to call that out in Congress. Like, we're not allowed to call them corrupt. And I think if we continue following those rules of not calling them corrupt and not saying that they're taking bribes, it's going to get us killed. It's going to cause the extinction of the human race. We already see the impacts of climate change. We all know someone who's been affected by the health insurance industry not, declining people care, and nickel and diming people, canceling people's insurance over like $14. And that's a system we have, a system that kills 40,000 people per year, just by declining them necessary care. And it doesn't have to be this way. And I think that's the thing that we all realize is, like, the whole system is not designed to represent the needs of the working class. We have a government that is captured and owned by corporations, and the only way to do that is to get the money out. And frankly, if we keep on running the way we are, I think that we can actually defeat them. This is my first time ever running for office. I didn't have a lot of connections before this, and I'm already more well-funded than every progressive that ran in the last cycle in Washington State. And even one who got through the primary, Sarah Smith, we are actually raising a lot of money. We are showing that you don't have to do it the old way. We don't have to follow their old rules. And we can have a new path. We can fund things ourselves. We can actually run our campaigns without taking corporate money. So there's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse to say that you can't you can't run an election without taking corporate money, because we're doing it. Bernie Sanders is the most well-funded person in this race right now. And, and we can see candidates all over the country that are paying their staff living wages with, $15 at a time from their supporters. And that's what we're doing. And that's what, any person, any working class person can do. And this is important. I think this is the moment that, everything is shifting. And, we are going to take a lot of seats in Congress this cycle. And we're gonna remember the people who are taking corporate money, and that's going to be a stain on their record forever. And so I think this is, I'm really glad that we are talking about this. I remember when Wolfpack organized an event in Washington. It was one of the biggest events, or it was one of the biggest political things that I've ever they're just gonna know you because donors, every year time they're gonna spend an hour on how much they're gonna do this. So that's
Joshua,
you know,
Joshua, you're kind of breaking up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yes.
Let me jump in for a second, Joshua, until you get a better connection. First of all, after I told everybody to give their website, I didn't give mine. So it's cenk2020.com. Second of all, Joshua I'm not sure, he might still be a truck driver. So I thought at first he was in his truck doing this call. Second of all, bragging out to texting to someone how well his call was working. And then, of course, this happened, so it's my fault for jinxing it. And remember, I do want to say one quick thing, though. Look, for folks who did take corporate contributions, I when they don't do it anymore. We should all welcome that. That's wonderful, wonderful. So when I heard Cori Booker and Kamala Harris and Kirsten Gillibrand take corporate PAC money anymore, that is great and welcome news. And it's always great to have people join the movement. And as I can attest to more than anybody else, sometimes the zeal of the converted is quite powerful. And so, and actually Kirsten Gillibrand is a good example of that, because she then had the strongest public financing proposal out of all the candidates. She took democracy dollars and times it by 6 and gave everybody in America, if that proposal were to pass, $600 to give out to in terms of public financing. So it was a great, great proposal by Gillibrand. So we should always welcome that. So I don't know if we're going to be able to see, if Joshua's connection got better. Let's just test it for a second. And if it's not, we could do the next thing and wait for it to get better. Joshua, you want to try again?
Yeah, I was pretty much done speaking. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You
we're
sound
kind of
much
all
better
over the
now.
place today, so yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much said everything. I think we all understand that, corporate money is a corrupting influence in politics, and it's obvious when Republicans do it. It's just as true when Democrats do it. So, with that said, I'll let you guys, the next person, speak. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I believe.
Sorry, Joshua, website?
Joshua2020.com.
Great. And we'll go through all the websites and social media accounts again at the end and post them in the chat in case anyone's missed them. So I believe the Cori Eastman is on and is next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yay. Hello, everyone. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, just can you tell us about what Citizens United means to you as a candidate, and sort of what what you see as like the problem with money in politics and how it's had an influence in your race?
Sure. Well, so I ran for Congress in 2018. I'm in the Nebraska 2nd, where Omaha is, and for us, not taking corporate PAC money was a no-brainer, because I've been fighting corporate interests against a number of things my whole career. I'm in social work. I've been running nonprofits my whole career, and so it made sense from an ethical standpoint, which is always funny to talk about ethics in politics. But what I've seen firsthand is how my opponent, who is the incumbent Republican, how much money he gets from corporate interests, and then where his votes fall. And they always seem to be in line with that money coming into him. And so it seems like there's that whole issue of the fact that he's bought and sold by corporations. Then there's the whole dark money thing, which when we looked at how much money was spent against me by outside Republican groups in 2018, online it was 1.5 million. and Democratic outside groups spent about 30,000. So I equate it to me standing in a field being bombed and I've got spatulas like hitting them back. So the fact that I was able to actually do as well as I did, I only lost by 1.9% in 2018, which is part of the reason why I'm running again, is remarkable considering the amount of outside money that was given. And to me, like it's all bad, right? It's bad on the Republican side. I mean, it's obviously a lot more was spent on the Republican side than on the Democratic side, but the fact that we've decided that, okay, maybe candidates can only ask for a certain amount, but we've got all this dark money on the other side and that's unlimited is crazy. And I think this is not necessarily related to Citizens United, but part of the corruption that we see and what that directly impacts my district is gerrymandering. And the way that we have just a system set up that's fraught with corruption on so many different sides that just is working against candidates like myself. I mean, as I think most of the people in this town hall know, when you start off doing this and you're told, one, to go through your Rolodex, which I think is hilarious. What's a Rolodex? And two, ask your friends for money. I did that. My friends are social workers. My friends work in nonprofits. They each gave me the $50 that they could afford to give me. And I'm super grateful for that. But I didn't start off with this like robust wealth of wealthy donors to help me get started, like most people who run for Congress, because the average net worth of somebody in Congress right now is $1 million. So this whole system is just set up so that people like us don't succeed, and so that regular working people can't get into Congress. And then you just see the compound interest that occurs with all of that, where we're fighting, unfortunately, for corporations and the very wealthy instead of the rest of the people who actually need the voices that we can give them in Congress.
Awesome. Okay, Cara, what's your website?
Eastmanforcongress.com.
Great. Okay. I believe that Cori is on now.
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome.
All right. I missed the first part. What are we supposed? Hi, everybody. But
Yeah. So if you can just talk about, why you're not taking any corporate PAC money, what money in politics means to you in your race. And that's it.
Sure. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for being on this call. And to Cenk, thanks for hosting this and pulling all of us together. We love you. So for me, I would say it is, so people around me think that I am crazy. They use the word crazy for not taking corporate PAC money because they believe that if I want to be serious, they call it serious, running for Congress, that I have to take this money because otherwise, for one thing, for me, is the money isn't necessarily pouring in from the district. I have a district that is, we have a lot of poverty in my district. And not only that, people just don't believe that Congress does anything to affect them. At least that had been up until the squad, kicked off. So people were kind of like disenfranchised about like, why should I even, the little money I do have, why should I donate that to a congressional campaign when I can donate it to a council person or someone that, I would be able to see and talk to more, and I would feel like I'm actually being heard. And I will say that part of that is just because of who we have in office, but I'll let that go. For me, it was important to make sure that I didn't accept that corporate money because, I'm sorry, I'm sick, so I'm not broadcasting video. So it was important for me because I just remember being someone who felt for so long, especially as a single parent, that I was not being heard by anyone, especially on the federal level in politics. And I grew up under politics. My dad's been in politics for most of my life, and but he was very local. And so he was able to talk to his constituents and he was there for his residents. But on the federal level, I just felt like I wasn't being heard. And I didn't have the money to be able to donate to someone to be able to come to the prayer breakfast or wherever they were. So for me, it was like, I cannot do that to anybody else. If I'm going to run for this seat, I want the regular everyday person that's like me, because I am the people that I serve. I want that same type of person to feel like they have a voice. And I've seen too many times how people, they get into these seats and then they are beholden to whoever, gave them a few extra dollars, put some zeros behind it. And I just don't want to go into any seat having to have let that be my voice. Because that's the only reason that I'm running, is to make sure that regular people have their voice and are represented, because nobody knows our struggles the way that we do. And so, when I think about how much that has really taken off, I look at how in 1 year, we've had over 5,000 individual donations. Whereas I believe the last time I looked, our incumbent was at like 50. All of our stuff came from teachers and teachers and social workers and nurses, regular people, whereas his was CEOs, lobbyists, blah blah blah. And so to me, that's important because it speaks to who is actually who you're listening to, how your votes lean. And so anyway, so that's why it's important to me. And then the other thing that I get is, Cori, you're a Black woman, and that Black women bring in less than anybody on the planet. Like, you get less contributions automatically than anybody. The numbers show it. The research is there. So you should go ahead and take that money, because, at least you can get the money and you can get in and win, and then you can go in and make change. For me, I still can't do it that way, because if we don't have leaders, have to lead from the front. So if I'm not willing to lead and be who I say that I am now, then how can I be that person when I get in the seat? Plus, I have to sleep with myself at night. So anyway, that's why I don't accept that money. And let me say this last thing. And I've had to clarify this with people. Some feel like, oh, well, they won't donate to you anyway. That is not the case. We've turned down corporate money. So
yeah,
let's just be clear.
So, Cori, I know you're sick and you got to jump soon. So can you give folks your website?
Sure. It's coribush.org, CORIBUSH.org, like George and Jed, but not them.
So I want to say one more thing about Cori and some of the other candidates on this video call, whatever we're calling it, is that, look, there's a lot of heroes here. Cori led the Ferguson protests. So she's a woman of incredible strength and courage. Cara, as she explained, had everything thrown at her in that Nebraska race, everything from both sides, and still came in within a hair of winning. And I'm sure she's going to win this time. But that's why we got to support everyone on this call, because they've shown how great a candidate they are, how much courage they've shown in their life overall. Are you kidding me? I mean, you want to talk about courage? What Brianna had to put up with in Gamergate was unprecedented. And to not back down and to keep on fighting and to get into the arena even more, I don't know anyone who's shown that kind of courage. So it's an honor to be with all these wonderful progressive candidates today. And the one other thing that we have to deal with is the rest of the media supporting our opponents, even though we're the ones that are uncorrupted and they're the ones that take all the money and serve the powerful interests. So that's one more thing that Cori and Brianna and Andrew and Cara and Joshua and all these folks have to deal with. But you never know what's going to happen if you're in the fight. So many of the candidates here are doing great in their races. No one gave Joshua a chance. No money, drives a truck, etc. Now there's an argument to be made that he's the favorite in that race. So amazing things will happen if you try.
That's right.
I just want to say that Ted Terry is stuck in traffic. I am going to try to get him the call info so he can call in. But while we wait for him, I want to see, just for a few minutes, we'll see how this goes. But if anyone has questions for the candidates, please put it in the chat. And we can do a very quick rapid fire answering questions here.
So as we're waiting for the first question that you'll get, first of all, I love that Cara is already better at this than I am, and she's answering people in the chat, which is amazing. Okay. Second of all, I love seeing you guys. So Ronald, one day we want to hear that guitar. Probably not today, but one day. Brad, the dog in your screen capture is super cute. So it's great to literally see all of you guys here. And for those that don't have the video on, we understand, no problem at all. But this is great. This is our first experiment in this, and I think it's going great. Yes, back to you, Catherine. By the way, if you know, Catherine's my campaign man.
Yes, that's true. I'm not just some random person hijacking it. Okay. Oh man, these questions are coming too fast. So I saw one that said something like, no, I've totally lost it. How can candidates running help each other in their race? And what can a progressive president do to get big money out of politics? I think those are good, quick ones. So how can you guys all help each other in your races?
Well, I can start. First of all, we can do things like this. So if you're following my campaign, now you know about Cara and Cori and Andrew and Brianna and all the rest. Second of all, just moral support is enormous. Brianna was wonderful in helping our campaign put out a lot of support for us, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. And then secondly, especially if some of us win, some of our primaries are earlier than other primaries. So great example of this is when AOC won her primary, that's such a blue district, we knew she was going to Congress. She then immediately turned around and helped other candidates, including Cori last time around, and other wonderful candidates like James, who were all just Democrats, Cori, and then James Thompson and Brent Welder, and she did a great job in trying to do that. My God, if I win, I have no idea how much I'm going to try to help these folks. I hope to be able to come to their states, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more prominence there as well, and do rallies and highlight one another so people understand the wonderful progressives that are out there that might not have gotten attention. And then finally, on the progressive president, there's two different lines of strategy here, and I'm really glad you asked. One is legislative, which you can do immediately, which is encourage and pass public financing, including HR 1. It's a good start, not a great start, but a good start. I'll definitely take it, but we got to pass that through the Senate. And then Gillibrand's proposal is really good. We should have $600 that to give to average Americans, so then you could compete with the big private donors. But then ultimately, the real solution is to pass an amendment. So do the bill first, hopefully, and then work on the amendment to get all money out of politics, to end all private financing of elections. But the president can't do much on the amendment other than use the bully pulpit. But moving the national conversation is everything. So it could make all the difference in the world.
Okay, I want to toss it back to maybe Andrew, since you were the first to go and haven't spoken in a while. Feel free to answer the questions that Cenk did, but also there are a bunch of other questions coming in. One that I see a lot of, and maybe we go around and have everyone answer this quickly, is how can everyone on this call help you? So if you want to talk briefly about, obviously donating and volunteering, what specific things you need for your campaign, I'll toss it back to Andrew first.
Thanks. Can you hear me now? So our campaign faces a primary on June 30th. As Cenk alluded to as well, we're up against the national political establishment, and we need help now. Folks can make a contribution at andrewromanoff.com. If they live in Colorado and are a registered Democrat, they can sign up to caucus. Our caucuses take place on Saturday, March 7th, which determines your spot on the ballot. And we need people from across the country to help us reach voters. So if you go to andrewromanoff.com, you can sign up to dial potential caucus goers and primary voters. It's going to take a grassroots movement, the kind that we're building, in order to beat the corporate interests on the other side.
Awesome. Brianna, what about you?
With you, Cenk. I loved what you said. And I love the question about what do we do together to win this thing? And I would love to hear from other candidates on this call, but I feel like now that I've run for office, I understand so much more about why our system is broken. I want to tell you all a really quick story. I was doing call time yesterday, calling, low dollar people asking for support. I get this woman on the phone and she's like, look, Biden's my guy. Your opponent endorsed Biden. He's a friend. I'm sticking with him forever. What I have learned running for office is that the status quo has a huge network built up to support each other. They have money coming to each other. They throw people alley-oops in the press. They have an entire infrastructure set up to get messaging out. We don't have that yet as progressives. I think one of the reasons Young Turks is so important as a media network, it is the start of that infrastructure. What AOC has built is the start of that infrastructure. What Bernie has built is the start of that infrastructure. We have to stick together like glue. And Cenk, I have to say, I used to believe the press was generally good and generally on our side. And I want to keep it real with everyone on this call. The last 6 months have really shaken my belief in that. Today, we are seeing hit pieces on the Democratic primary trying to divide us against each other. We've seen the nonsense that has gone on in your race. Here in Boston, I have raised $250,000 so far. No PAC money, taken out from small dollar contributions from individuals. And we can't get covered by the Boston Globe, our own local paper. They are not interested in any of us because we are a threat to their power. So we have to stick together. My challenge to everyone on this call, this dialing in to watch all of this is what I need from you. I need you to pick one of three things and to do it. The first thing is run for office yourself. Local, state, federal, I don't care. If you want to do that, that is awesome. We need you in this fight. Second, if you can't run, donate money to someone who is running for office that represents your values. And if you can't do that, get out there and volunteer. Phone bank, Canvas. People don't tell you, but working an election is so much fun. You're going to make the best friends in your whole life. And I promise you will feel better than if you spend the day on Twitter or Facebook talking to people. This is an amazing job. There's amazing progressive energy. All we have to do to get the future that we want is believe in it and fight for it.
Awesome. Okay, Joshua, what can people on this call do for your campaign? Walk us through it.
Well, I guess the biggest thing is helping us with online reach. We're running a really modern campaign. The thing about the online universe and social media is, especially the ones that have banned political advertising, is the only thing that's going to work on it is an actual popular message. The reason I've had success on Twitter and on TikTok is because I'm just saying things that young people agree with. And so just helping me to boost my message online is really helpful. For our campaign, we haven't spent any money on advertisements at all. And that's unusual. Most people have to buy ads. So really just honestly just liking and commenting on my posts as well as the other candidates' posts, that helps boost the posts with the algorithms. So that's always something that's helpful. If you are in our area, you can always volunteer. We need as many people knocking doors and stuff as possible. And on our website, we're also using Discord. Discord is like a gaming server. It's kind of similar to Slack, but it's made for like gamers. And we've been using it to like organize because we've had an easier time getting young people on it. And so, yeah, we use it, for communications, for, running our phone banks out of. And if anyone wants to join that, you can go ahead and hop on. And our link is at joshua2020.com. So, and really, always like any of your candidates that you like, not even just me, like on every platform, follow them, go through and like their posts, comment on them, and share them. Even if you don't have a big following, doing that stuff makes the algorithms recognize it as like being a good post, and it shows it to more people. So it's always helpful to do that with every candidate. And donating is really great. But if you or for my campaign in particular, if you can make a small recurring donation, it's really helpful, because my election isn't until August. So $5 today is still, $40 by the time my election happens. So yeah, that's it.
Great. Okay. I'm deeply emotionally attached to Slack, so I take offense to Discord, but I'll let you do
That's
it.
fine.
Okay, Cori, what can people on this call do for your campaign?
Okay. So one thing, definitely, please, if you could donate, we would love it. But not just donate, tell your friends, because one thing that we see is we have people that will donate, $3 or $7 to our campaign, but donate 500 or then donate 100 or 75 to other campaigns. And it's like, what did we do wrong? What did we do different? And so talking to your people about, if there is any, like, sometimes we don't know that there is this implicit bias that we're dealing with. So just like recognizing that, dealing with that, talking to your people about it, saying, hey, really vet the candidates. We have some really, really good people running in seats that don't have as much recognition, and so they really don't bring in the money. But then we have people that are in those same races that are not necessarily progressive, but because they have a name, they have, they knew somebody, and so now people are following this person, people are donating to that person, when what we really need is the person that would have made the better congressperson to be the one to receive those donations, to have a better chance at winning. Because I'll say this, I'm not going to Congress. I'm not going to Congress trying to be around a bunch of popular progressives. I can care less about that. I want to go to Congress and be around people that's going to get the work done, that actually love their communities, that stay in their communities, that fight in their communities, not people that's just trying to be popular and trying to be the man, the woman, or the whatever they want to be. So let me just be clear about that. I think that we're hurting ourselves in that way, because right now it's starting to be popular to run for office, and so now it's just getting crazy. And so we need to pull that back. And so I'm just saying, if everybody on this call, go to Ballotpedia or whatever you use, and look to see who is all running in these, where you support somebody, who else is running in those races, just to vet us, because that also holds us accountable. Because we have some people that are saying that they're progressives that are running, but they are taking corporate money, and so people don't even know it, like, because we're not looking. So let's just, so that's the one thing that everybody can do on this call, for me and for other progressive candidates, keeping us accountable. And then donating, sending out information on social media. If we tweet something, whatever, like Joshua was saying, just help lift our names even more. If you have connects in anything, please share those connects with us. Me personally, I'm looking for a new fundraising director. I'm looking for better ways to fundraise. I'm looking for, so it's so many things that we can do. There may be somebody on this call that's great at graphics, or somebody that is great at communications, or whatever it is. If you just have something that you want to help out a campaign with, please reach out to us, direct message us or something, or send us an email to our campaigns and let us know that you would be willing to do something. Because don't think that just because we have a national name, or because you see our names on Twitter, or we've been on TYT, or whatever it is, that we have it all together, or we have all the pieces we need. We don't. So please just reach out to us. We would love you for it. Help us win.
Yes. Well said. And Cara, I think you're the last one. I hope I didn't skip anyone. What do you need from people on this call?
Anybody who doesn't live in Nebraska, or who doesn't live in one of the states represented by any of these amazing people, if you could move to Nebraska before my primary in May, that would be really helpful. Other than that, we have a new fundraising program called Invest Her. It's a peer-to-peer fundraising program. You just sign up. We give you your own unique Act Blue link, and you set a goal for yourself. If it's 20 donors, or you're going to raise $100 or whatever that is. We've already had every person who volunteers on our campaign in the office sign up, because we just launched it within a week. We've had, and it's actually, people are connecting to this on social media and sharing it. We created a cute little graphic for it, and it actually seems to be working. So Cori, when you ask about ideas, this is working really well for us. It might be something that people would be excited to help you with, because I think that one of the things that we keep identifying is, like, when we talk about bundlers, they're like these wealthy donors who reach out to their rich friends. But what happens is we leave behind so many people in the district who are never asked for money. That's usually young people, that's usually people of color. And it's despicable to me that the list that we're given are wealthy people, because then their voice is so much louder than everybody else's. So we've got people in here who are collecting dollars from their friends on behalf of the campaign, then they feel more invested. And I'm really proud of that, because that's part of what I've done with my career in terms of organizing. And so I would love for anybody who wants to get involved. But yeah, I mean, it's the same. We can use help with amplifying our message. Anybody that wants to go on my opponent Don Bacon's Twitter and let him know how you feel about him, that'd be great too.
Great idea. Okay, so unfortunately, it looks like Ted Terry is deeply stuck in traffic and just will not be able to hop on. So I think to wrap this up, I'll toss it back to each candidate. Just take like a minute or so. Any last things you want to say, and then please repeat your website and your social media. And I'll type it into the chat, or if you have staff with you, type it into the chat. So for this part, chatters who aren't candidates, please keep your comments to minimum so that everyone can actually see everyone's websites and social media. So let's start with Andrew first.
Romanoff.com, AndrewRomanoff.com. The social media is at Romanoff 2020. We have the best chance in the country to flip a Senate seat, not just from red to blue, but from paralysis to progress. That's what our campaign is about. I'm running against another Democrat supported by the national establishment who has refused to sign the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge, opposes the Green New Deal, sued communities that tried to restrict fracking, literally drank the fracking fluid, and describes a lot of the progressive priorities that we're talking about on this call and that I'm running on in this campaign, like Medicare for All and the Green New Deal. He compares those to, in his words, the discredited ideas of Karl Marx and Joseph Stalin. This is a Democrat, and we ought to replace Cory Gardner instead with a progressive champion. That's the kind of campaign we're running and the kind of senator I aim to be. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope to earn your support.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm a big fan. Let's toss it to Brianna.
One of the reasons they are working so hard right now to stop progressives from having our voice heard in the Democratic Party is everyone on this call today. We represent an existential threat to the status quo and business as usual. And I want to let you know that feeling that's in the pit of your stomach, that thing inside you that keeps you awake at night when you're thinking about climate change, or you're thinking about the damage Trump has done to this country through his presidency, when you're thinking about our wrecked financial system, when you're thinking about the lack of a path forward to pay back your student loans or to have a good career. I want you to know that feeling inside of you, it is not weakness, it is not anger, it is righteousness. And it is a weapon. And it is so much more powerful than the people who are standing against you. And I want you to lean into it. You use it. Because if we get out there and we work every single damn day as hard as we can between now and November, we're going to wake up to a progressive country that we truly could not have dreamed of 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You know, Bernie Sanders, I have been watching Bernie Sanders for over 20 years. He used to come on the Tom Hartman show and talk about the same stuff in the Bush administration that he talks about now. And I could not have imagined that he would credibly be our very first true progressive president. He's going to need a Congress to back him up. He's going to need a Senate to back him up. And whoever the Democratic nominee is going to need strong forces to back them up. I'm willing to be in that fight. I hope you will be too. You can support me by going to supportbrianna.com. On Twitter, I'm Brianna Wu. And on Facebook, I'm developer Brianna Wu, and I would be honored to have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Let's go to Cenk.
Okay, so first of all, there's so much that I love about this virtual town hall, and I love that we're the folks who came on, the candidates who came on, trying this for the first time together. Mark my words, we will continue to do this, and it will grow and grow and grow until it gets enormous. So we'll do it on different topics. We'll do it with different candidates from time to time. But I love this experiment, and you guys are so much better. Even though I started the largest online media outlet, you guys are so much better at tech than I am. So what Joshua's doing on TikTok and Discord, I couldn't figure that out if my life depended on it. And I loved what you mentioned, Cara, and I hope that everybody uses that as well. And so in terms of media, real quick on that, look, some of the folks on this call are legends. I mean, Cori, what she did in Ferguson, what Brianna did at Gamergate, Andrew was the Speaker of the House in Colorado. All these folks should be getting enormous press right now. And oftentimes you could barely get any press coverage at all. And if we do get it, as everybody knows, it is oftentimes hostile. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with you guys. The difference. So I see Annalise is on the call. To give you a sense of what you can do, she was a volunteer and she was so great, we hired her. So that happens. And so you could, and so power is our main strength. So if you want to donate, that's great to all these candidates, including me, cenk2020.com/go. But if you want to volunteer, even better. And remember, guys, it's if you're in Nebraska and you're going to knock on doors for Cara, that's the best thing. But you don't have to be in Nebraska to help Cara. You could also phone bank for her. And you could phone bank for all of us. We've already made 100,000 calls in our district. So we're not playing. Okay, we've got people. So for that, for me, it's cenk2020.com/team. And thank you to all the non-candidates participating here. You'll get to say you were on the first one. And hopefully this will become something gigantic that people will talk about for a long time too. So thank you to all of you.
All right, Cori.
Sure. You can reach me at coribush.org, CORIBUSH.org. And my Twitter and my Instagram is at Cori Bush. My Facebook is at Vote Cori Bush. Reach out to us anytime. And if you want to email me, I'm Cori at coribush.org, or you can info@coribush.org. And if you want to speak to a live voice, if you want to speak with someone, our phone number is it's a 314-482, I believe, 9496. And you will get a live voice from the campaign.
There you go. Cori's handing out her number, guys. Okay. Let's see. Cara, or actually, Joshua's next alphabetically.
Oh, is it by last name or
first name? I don't know. I might have messed it up. You're next.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the last thing I want to say is just, we can't afford to just participate anymore. If you're paying attention and you're active right now, you have a responsibility to do more than just show up. And it's because this is the most important time in all of human history with climate change. So we all have to be organizers. do everything you can to bring other people into the movement. Do everything you can to bring your family members, your coworkers, people at your church, whatever you do, the people around you, you need to bring them up to speed with how serious climate change is and how little is being done about it. And just educate people, let people know what we're dealing with, activate them, motivate them, teach them, be an organizer. We have a lot of volunteers, and a lot of our volunteers are people who have never done anything before. They have a lot of them never voted. They never went to a Democratic Party meeting, a DSA meeting, any of that. And we are working to turn all of them into organizers. So that is what we need to do. We need a class of people who are able to grow this movement exponentially. For every one person we bring in, that person needs to bring in 10 more people, and that needs to keep on going. And that's how we build this movement. We just need more people. That's really all it takes. And it's not like we have to convince that many more people. We just have to teach them and engage them, and bring them in, and actually work with them, because most people they're afraid of this. They don't know how to do anything. They haven't been to a meeting. They haven't done any of that. And all you have to do is tell them how easy it really is. And when we participate, the bad people lose. So that's frankly, that's it. Just work hard and continue helping to grow the message. So that's it. Joshua2020.com also. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Now, Cara, you're up.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do this. It's been really great and exciting, and it's always nice to be around other people doing this, because it feels a little lonely sometimes, especially when you do it twice, right, Cori? There is something happening in our country that is palpable, and it's not just about Donald Trump, and it's not just about my opponent, Don Bacon. It is about changing a system that is set up to work against the majority of people who rely on the system to survive. I have worked in nonprofits and social work for over 20 years, starting nonprofits nationally to focus on fatal illnesses, running homeless shelters and domestic violence shelters, starting an environmental health organization called Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance, focusing on lead poisoning prevention. I'm tired of watching people get busted over and over and over again by a system that doesn't care about them. It's not set up to care about them. And I believe that there's something greater out there. I'm a social worker. Maybe that's part of my idealistic, idealistic ways. But I do think that there's something better. And I think it's something that there are these progressive messages that we all put out. The piece that people don't talk about enough is the fact that they save money. And I think the more that we can tie the progressive message to saving money for ordinary Americans who, where $500 is a big deal to most people, a $500 deductible, a $500 car issue because our potholes are a mess, or a $500 emergency, there are too many people. Doesn't mean anything to them, but for most of us, it's the difference between food on the table. It's the difference between sometimes life and death. And I think that we need more people in Congress who understand that, but who also understand how to run things, how to organize things, and how to bring people together to solve problems. And that's what I would like to do. So it's eastmanforcongress.com. I'm Cara for Congress on Twitter. Would love for you to donate, move to Nebraska, come and help me. I need all the help I can get. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys all for, I just typed in your website wrong. Sorry about that. I'll type it again. Thank you all for coming. It's really great that we got over 100 people on in like less than 24 hours notice, pretty much. So we're really grateful that you all joined. And I won't speak for the other candidates on the call, but I think they would probably appreciate it if you kicked them all a few bucks today. It's the anniversary of Citizens United. So what better way to show the establishment and corporations that progressives can win than to make sure everyone has a big fundraising day on this date, especially. So I've seen a lot of requests for emails with this information sent to everyone on the call. I'll make sure that happens sometime today or tomorrow so that you guys get everyone's information. That's all I have to say. Thank you all so much for joining. And thank you so much to the candidates. It's really a privilege to hear you all speak.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks for showing the babies at the end. Richard, Eugino, super cute.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Let's go save the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Too strong.
Oops. How do I hang up?
How do I hang up? I didn't read it.
Huh?
I don't know if there's a mic or not.
Hey, are any of these candidates going to ask for money from AOC's new PAC? That's what I wanted to know, because I think they should.
Someone wrote it as a question, but no one answered.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if I have a mic or not. I don't think I do on this one. I'm not sure.
Anyone heard of that new PAC? Courage for Change.
Oh, that's what it's called.
Yeah, there was some story about it. Some of the progressives, YouTubers covered it. How the DCCC was freaking out about it.
We're going to leave now.
Would that be considered a super PAC?
A good super PAC.
I think so, under the generally accepted definition. I mean, legally, I have no idea, but yeah.
It's definitely a super PAC, but we need it to stop all other super PACs.
Yeah, they probably have to end it if progressives were ever successful in getting all of the money out.
When we're successful getting all the money out.
When. Good point.
Maybe. Not sure.
So it'd be a super PAC for progressives. So then that would be accepted.
Yeah, because the super PAC is there, but their expressed end result is that there's no more. So it's like Wolfpack. Wolfpack is a super PAC, but their whole goal is to get corporate money out of politics. And once that's done, super PAC is over.
Oh, okay.
I like this guy too. So good, bro. Yeah, I'm running in New York, so let's keep it going,
He's running for Congress in New York?
No, I don't know if he's running for Congress. Yeah, I'm running for Congress in New York's 5th District. Donovan Martin. I wasn't on this call. I mean, I watched the call, but I wasn't speaking on the call. But hopefully you'll see me on the calls in the future. Hey, you're here, man. Yeah. I'm here talking to you guys. Here, that's all that counts. 100%.
Yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, we need luck, and even if we don't win, Bernie didn't win in 2016, but he affected a lot of change here in 2020 and affected the conversation going forward. So you got to keep fighting, because MLK fought. He didn't win when he died, but even 50 years after his death, he's still affecting change day after day. And I truly believe that we can all do that. And that's why I follow this stuff so much. And that's why I love it so much. That's why I'm running. Sure. Yes, sir. I heard you. Nothing better than that. It's a fact. I love you, man. Have a good luck, bro. I would donate to you if I had your information. You know what I mean? Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna get all that stuff up and running soon. But once we get that going, until then, support Cenk, support Brianna, Cori Bush, Andrew Romanoff, Joshua Collins, Cori Eastman. I like Brianna a lot. I like her a little bit of Cenk, and I never thought I'd say that. Yeah, like all the candidates, they seem like a strong bunch. For sure. We only gonna get stronger. Good luck, brother. Appreciate it. Take it easy, guys.